Good morning, I'm meteorologist Joshua Seneschal from Freese-Notis Weather. I'm going to take a look at the latest crop progress report and also look at the near and long-term rainfall forecast as we monitor the latest developments in the hard red winter wheat regions. So let's start out looking at the latest drought monitor here, and what we can see is much of the hard red winter wheat areas in Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, even southwest Nebraska are experiencing severe and extreme drought. We even have a few pockets of exceptional drought conditions near the Oklahoma and Texas borders here. So obviously we've had a lot of dry weather the last several weeks. And even the last week or so, we've seen a reduction in the quality of a lot of our wheat crop. Looking at the latest crop progress reports in Texas, the percent of the winter wheat crop in good and excellent condition fell by 2%, and then the percentage of wheat in poor and very poor condition increased by 3%. And this is all over the last 7 days. Now for Oklahoma, good and excellent, that percent coverage fell by 1%, poor and very poor increased by 5%. And then as we head farther north into Kansas, the good and excellent condition fell by 1%, and poor and very poor increased by 1%. So in terms of wheat condition, we saw very subtle changes in Kansas. However, Texas and Oklahoma, we did see more significant reductions in the condition of this crop. And as we take a look at this graph here, it's pretty obvious why. When we look at the percent of Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas in moderate drought, and we can see that up to present on your right-hand side, we're looking at about 60 to 80% of these states currently covered by moderate drought. Now, if you look at the far left of this chart here, this time of last year, about 80 to 100% of these three states in the hard red winter wheat areas were covered by moderate drought. Now, we improved over the winter. During December, this was down to 30 to 50%. However, as you look at the last several weeks, we've seen a nearly exponential increase in the percent coverage of these three southern plains states, the percent coverage of moderate drought. So we've seen a worsening of drought conditions. We're seeing that hard red winter wheat continue to decline. Now, what is the forecast in the near future? So over the next 5 days, this is the total precipitation forecast from the European ensemble. And as you can see, most of the southern plains are looking at generally 1/10 of an inch or less. In fact, we actually have an area of white across southwest Kansas and also the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma, indicating 0 precipitation is forecast. So in the next 5 days, no relief in sight. Now, as we look at the 6 to 10 day time frame, this is a look at the percent of normal rainfall, and this is also from the European ensemble. And generally, we're looking at 50 or less percent of normal rainfall. So we could be looking at as low as 10% of normal rainfall in portions of the western Oklahoma panhandle. And in general, most of the hard red winter wheat is looking at 50% or less for the 6 to 10 day time frame. So dry day 1 to 5, dry for the 6 to 10 day time frame. However, as we transition into the 11 to 15 day time frame, we are looking at closer to normal rainfall. Of course, this is a long-range forecast. Confidence is certainly low. However, we have seen several consecutive model runs indicating a bit of a wetter pattern beginning for the 11 to 15 day time frame. So at least the next 10 days, very drier than normal. Next week's crop condition report likely going to reflect worsening conditions. There is some possibility that we see a reversal of that trend, maybe improving conditions for the following crop progress report. However, in general, it does look like we are going to see more in the way of dry weather, some relief possible for the 11 to 15 day time frame.